Hello and welcome to this week's Whole Week Costa. My microphone turned off for a second. We're gonna start tonight with our first movie in our AFI 100 Greatest Movie Countdown podcast spectacular. But we have to start with the beer table tonight. We have once again a local fish or local brewery, Flying Fish from Somerdale, New Jersey.
So it's a 3.32 out of 5 on Beer Advocate. I'm trying to look for a good review to read here.
It's a exit 16 double IPA, hoppy highs of tangerine, mango, and pine.
Mildly hazy, deep yellow body, thick, rocky, creamy head, caramel and citrus rind notes in the aroma, but rather subdued. Bread crust flavored, topped with a somewhat zesty, definitely bitter hop presence. That's all I got. That's all I got for it.
Real quick, other news. I bought new gym shorts tonight.
Nice.
Yeah. Nike. Look
Fancy.
at these. I can wear these out. And I went to my first primary care doctor visit in 7 years.
Nice.
I had a new primary care doctor.
So you're healthy AF now.
I'm trying to. So, before we start a movie, did you see Life of Pets 2?
Yeah, it was fine.
It was all right.
It's fine. I fell asleep through part of it.
Okay. Tonight's movie, which I fell asleep last night, so luckily I had a half vacation day today.
Yeah.
I fell asleep because I was tired, because I had an 8-page paper, is Yankee Doodle Dandy about the life of George M. Cohan.
Cohan. So I think the first thing I want to talk about is like how weird it is to watch an 80-year-old movie because of the complete lack of historical context that we have for this movie. So when you were watching this movie, were you thinking about the fact that this was a music biopic at all? Because I wasn't.
So that beer does not taste great. But anyway, so like to answer your question, I have to start like the first thing that like I couldn't pay attention for like 5 minutes. Like He goes, the first scene, the president, FDR calls him into his office, and like it's 1942, the beginning of World War II, and he's like, well, my father, he ran away from something to join the Civil War, and I was born like a few years after the Civil War, and you're like, what?
That's so long ago.
You know what I mean?
Exactly, but it wouldn't have been that long. I mean, it would have been still a long time ago, but it wouldn't have been ridiculously long ago.
Like his father, his father was a veteran of the Civil War, and we're talking about World War II.
Yeah.
So I just recently saw Saving Private Ryan in movie theaters. Like, that's World War II. That's 1944. That takes place
and that's 80 years ago.
Yeah, 275. It was 75th. That's 2 years. Takes place 2 years after this biopic starts.
Yeah.
So it's like they're talking about the Civil War. So you never really think about it in that terms. Like the Civil War is like the 1800s. You're like, it was so long ago. And he's like, my father was a Civil War veteran. And I was like, I couldn't pay attention for about 5 minutes, No,
that's what I mean. It's weird because we're so divorced from the context of this film. Like, so the biopic thing, I mean, to me, it's like when I was first thinking about it. So it's a musical. It's a patriotic musical. Like that's my initial impression. But it's not. It's a biopic. It's the same exact genre as coming out now as Bohemian Rhapsody, as Rocket Man. This is basically 1940s Rocket Man.
Yeah, it is, because I thought the same thing too. It was a World War II hype film.
Yeah,
like I really thought that was we're gonna go kick the Jerry's, we're gonna go beat the Japs, like flag waving and everything, it's, and then like 10 minutes into the movie they have blackface, and you're like, what?
Yeah, there's a great line about putting ants in their Japans.
Yeah.
But
another great line: if I said anything to offend you, I meant it.
Did you know? So that was Eddie Foy Jr. playing his father in that role.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I just thought that was I thought the whole music biopic thing was strange because, so I wonder, so somebody watching it then, how much differently would they have looked at this movie? Because I guess if they made a movie about him, then George M. Cohan still would have been a pretty famous guy at that point. So like people wouldn't have been going to see the story of George M. Cohan. Like nowadays,
Right.
like I didn't know, I never heard the name before I watched this movie.
Oh, I've heard of him before, but I've never like I've heard of him and like Yankee Doodle Dandy. Like
Yeah.
that's it.
Also, the song Yankee Doodle Dandy is about nonsense.
yeah.
It's like the title of the movie is about a boy or I guess a guy who rides horses in English Derby. Like that's what it's about. But he happens to be American.
So did you go into like a third into the movie or like 2/3 into the movie?
Yeah.
When George gets his first like big break, I really did like how they transition like all his like critical hits, like they go from like marquee to marquee to marquee, like the Man of the Year in 1927, then like the 7 falls into an 8, and they just show all his different plays and hits and everything, and like that was like I guess the exposition version of showing time pass, like with all his hits and how famous he got and everything. But the whole movie is like he would get into a part of his life, and then they would sing a song that was popular at that time to really like, I guess, really date it.
Well, yeah. So I was listening on the ride over here. I was listening to the Yankee Doodle Dandy original soundtrack, which I guess was re-released in 2013. And because what we were talking about was sort of, we were texting earlier about this was about the sort of musical idea that like a good musical, the songs would advance the plot, and in a bad musical there's just songs to be songs, and the first few songs really do advance the plot because there's the opening, which I'll talk about in a minute more, and then there's early year sequence, which sort of introduces all the characters. So it has George's father like originally doing his like real Irish stereotype song. And then George is born, and then it has him do that same song, and then it has his sister do a song. And then, so it sort of introduces all of them. And then they go into I Was Born in Virginia, which is the first time we see them all together. So it shows them all together. And it's the first time that we see that George does the thank you for everyone. Like my father thanks you, my mother thanks you, my sister thanks you, I thank you. It's the first time he does it instead of his dad doing it. So that's a big moment too. And each of those songs are really efficient. So Early Years is only 3 minutes and 12 seconds, but it introduces us to all the characters. I don't have my headphone out or my microphone went out.
It's
okay, good. It's fine. Yeah. But it introduces all the main Cohans, and then I Was Born in Virginia is only 2 minutes, and it leads up, and it shows us them together, and it leads up to him first. Again, like him starting to take center stage. So that's fine, and then like the next few songs. So there's that Harrigan song that's real weird, but that's fine because that's him showing him like trying to like sell his wares basically. So that sort of moves the story along too. It's not a very good song, and I don't know if maybe that's the point, or if people thought it was a good song then.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but then we get into just craziness. So then we have. Like a short Yankee Doodle Boy, 30 seconds, and then we have Little Johnny Jones sequence, and that's the whole friggin' they do this whole friggin' play with the Yankee Doodle Dandy song, and where they talk about him being a jockey basically, and it's 10 fucking minutes of him being a jockey. It didn't advance the story at all. It showed us like a mini play. So we take that out. So if we take that out, we're down to under 2 hours of runtime now.
Yeah, I fell asleep during the movie because I started at 8, and I was like, I gotta finish this tomorrow.
Yeah.
I wish I could have like watched it earlier so I could have thought about it more, but I was like super busy, and now I'm like but then like, all right, keep going with your music. I'm sorry.
I was say yes. I watched the end of last week, so I thought about it a lot. And then we have all the Faye Templeton stuff, and I thought the Faye Templeton stuff could have been totally removed from the movie as far as the story.
It doesn't advance. Like you see her at the end of the movie, you see her like a few times.
Yeah. So, and again, maybe just again not knowing the context, the historical context, maybe Faye Templeton was like super super famous, so they really wanted to touch on her in the movie.
But also, let's admit, George Gohan is kind of a dick. Like he's a dick. Like he's very like, I'm the best. Like, and I know it. Like he throughout the whole movie, and it shows him like, it kind of progresses. Like he's very cocky and cocksure. And then his mom's like, you got to hit him. And the dad's like, well, I don't want to hit him, make him seem like, he upstaged, like I'm jealous he upstaged me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to hit him. And then, like, he ruins a deal for them because he's like, oh, we deserve more money than that. We need first billing. And, like, he goes to, like, then, like, he's like, all right, I'm going to spank your ass. And then like, it like, goes to the Faye stuff where he's like, I told her what song, and like the theater producer, he's like, I don't give a shit what song you told her. I told her to sing this song.
Well, no, that's with his girlfriend, with Mary.
Oh, Mary. Oh, okay, I got it. Yeah, but like that shows him being a dickhead again, and he's like, look, you're not the boss. And then like,
and he potentially hurts her career by doing that.
Yeah, and then as he goes on, like he just keeps doing that to people, and you can see like it's like a big repercussion, less of a repercussion, almost no repercussion. He makes out on top. Like just for his personality. Like that shows how his fame climbs through the years.
Yeah, so it's sort of in a way, even though he's kind of a dick, it shows his perseverance. Like he's going to keep going and keep going and keep going until he wins eventually. I don't know. Side note, did you find Mary adorable? I felt like she was
the
like
18-year-old?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like she was like, I feel like if Gilly was like not annoying.
Yeah.
I was kind of her character for me.
She's 18 and naive, and she's like, oh, I really or like graduating, and so
like I love the scene, and I'll talk about the Faye Templeton stuff more. The Faye Templeton stuff I thought was stupid, but the scene was great when he comes back with the big flowers, and then he's like, and he's basically like, oh, I gave your song away, and then she's like, yeah, I knew when you brought in the flowers.
Yeah, I knew when you brought in the flowers and the chocolates. Yeah, but the Mary thing, it was like she's, the other girl comes in like, oh, we're going on a date roller skate, and then Mary comes in, he's like, oh, I'll go out with you right now. And she's like, what about that date? And he's basically like, nah. He's like, I'm George Cohan.
Yeah. I already banged her. I don't care anymore.
I'm George Cohan. And she's like, okay.
But the Faye Templeton stuff was like this weird, like this like weird alcove, like in the middle of the movie. Like it's moving along and showing he's becoming more and more famous. And then they're like, oh, okay, to become serious now, we have to get this serious singer. So they get her. And then she like sings a couple songs, and then she's gone. Like we never hear from her again. So she didn't seem to have much impact on the plot. Like I said, unless she was a really famous person in that time period where like people would have been excited to see her character. But the other thing too, I mean, I was thinking about watching it was, did you see The Greatest Showman?
With what's his face, Hugh Jackman?
Yeah. So it made me think of that because that's the plot of The Greatest Showman, and I wonder if that was inspired by this movie in any way.
Probably.
But it was the plot of The Greatest Showman is that Hugh Jackman is not taken seriously because he just runs a circus, and people think it's not legitimate. So he wants to get this legitimate act to have like a real legitimate act to be respected by high society. So that's kind of what was happening here is that George Cohan was this guy who, wrote, shtick like
flag waving.
Yeah, flag waving stuff.
Flag waving, happy stuff. And
he wanted to be taken seriously, so he wanted to get this serious singer. But then I was waiting for the conflict because in The Greatest Showman, then
she falls in love with him.
Yeah, she falls in love with him and like almost ruins his marriage and stuff. So I was like, oh no, is that going to happen here? Like, what about Mary? But that never happened. So which was like another weird thing about it because there's really no conflict in this movie.
I think the whole movie is just him progressing through life.
Yeah.
Like there's like it's vignettes of like weeks in his life.
Yeah.
And they show the passage of time through what was famous at that time, which we have no idea.
Yeah.
Like even if we did research, like there's so much entertainment going on at that time, but so little of it is recorded.
Yeah. But like if you if you graft an interest curve of the movie, like it's pretty flat. Like there's no peak, there's no big conflict, there's no resolution of the conflict. It just is.
Like I don't like I've seen better movies.
Yeah.
I have. Like that should beat this movie like
Yeah.
That because I've studied the list and I've seen better movies than this.
Yeah.
And
That's why it's 100.
Yeah, it should not be on there. But there are really good scenes in the movie, and you're like, it's like you like half the movie you're like, whatever, but then the other half of the movie you're like, oh, this is why this movie's on here.
Yeah. Now I was pretty entertained the whole time.
I think one of those scenes is the very end, not the very end scene, but the scene where he's sitting in his hammock and like it's a timeless scene that you see in like all biopics. It's like the 60-year-old man who's like he's basically past. He still has the presence, but he's past his prime, and there's a whole new generation, maybe like a second generation, like his what would be considered his grandchildren's generation. Yeah. And they come in, they're like, can we get some water? And I'm like, you look familiar. And he's like, oh, I'm George M. Cohan. They're like, who? Yeah. And he's like, they're like, do you know any of these songs? And they're like, we know these songs. And he's like, oh, these fucking kids. Yeah. You know, it's like a timeless scene. Like every parent's like, oh, what do these kids even know nowadays? You know? Yeah. And to see that happen in like the late 30s, you're like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, it was a cool scene. I don't know. I liked. What was I going to talk about? Yeah, I thought so. So the framework narrative, the way they told the story, was kind of interesting because it's a little bit like a modern biopic. You know, there. Patrick H. Willems on YouTube did this great video about Bohemian Rhapsody, and in it he talked about how every music biopic for the last like 40 years is basically the same goddamn movie, just like cut and paste with like different characters. And he had this amazing list of like 20 things that's in every biopic, like how incredibly paint by numbers they are. And in this movie kind of had some of them from 80 years ago, which was, you know, and it didn't start exactly. So the thing was, you know, all music biopics in modern times start with like a more modern performance. Like they don't start with the character like or the person, you know, sort of you know, from the bottom. They start with the person at a triumphant moment, and then they flash back to the rest of the story. And that's basically what they did here in this framework narrative setting, where he's like telling this story to Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Right. He's like, let me go back.
Yeah.
To the very beginning of my life. Like, have you ever seen my favorite biopic?
What's that?
Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen clips of it, and they talk about it all the time. And that so Patrick H. Willems' point about that movie is that if that movie were more popular, it would have killed the music biopic scene because of how perfectly it parodies it.
I hate silly movies.
Yeah,
I hate them. I don't think they're funny. That is top 10 one of my favorite movies of all time. Like I'll watch it every time because it is a parody, but it's like, and it made me think. Yankee Doodle Dandy made me think of like that movie. That movie's based off Yankee Doodle Dandy. Like, I mean, you know, the whole you know, all the biopics that came out. Yeah. But I mean, like the very beginning of it, like they're like, oh, we're here to tribute Dewey Cox tonight, right? So like the beginning of Yankee Doodle Dandy, he's like, well, the end of it, which is actually the beginning he's like, we're here to honor you with this Medal of Honor, you know. So it's like we're here to Dewey Cox, and then Dewey's like, hold on, I gotta go to the bathroom, and he goes like peeing into a urinal, and I'm like, Dewey, you're about to go on. He's like, hold on, I gotta think about my entire life first. And it's like, it's so good, and they start with like the mom giving birth to him, and like basically like he's like a mixture of Johnny Cash and Elvis, and the dad like Dewey Cox, I hate you, you know, like like hates him throughout the whole movie, and I'm like it really is. If you watch Yankee Doodle Dandy and you watch Dewey Cox, it's basically step for step the same movie.
Well, I would wonder how much this movie influenced the biopic format. Like how many biopics were done before this?
It has to be the originator.
It has to be an early one. Yeah. I mean, this is what I hope by the time we get a part of the way through this list that we know the answers to these questions. But at least if we think about these questions, then we'll
Right.
Come with the answers.
Yeah, because like the Dewey Cox movie, like he starts with like it's each song that they play, it has to do with like a time period between like the 50s or the 40s or 50s.
Yeah.
And where he is at that point in his life.
Yeah.
Like it's that time period. Like he starts off with like Beatles music, like or like Elvis Presley music, like it's not I want to hold your hand, it's something like I want a high five or I want a hand job or something like that. Yeah, like something really innocent, like a double entendre.
Yeah.
And people are like, what? Like going crazy. So it makes that like whole thing, like that whole Elvis thing, like what's he doing with his feet? And it's like it's almost nothing. So it's one of my favorite movies, and it's like almost beat for beat.
Yeah.
The best movie biopic, like artist biopic there is.
So what do you think in Yankee Doodle Dandy is the worst song in the movie?
A lot of them are pretty bad, but I have to say the worst song. The worst song is the one where he's the one the girls. Yankee Doodle Dandy's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the one where the girls singing and they're arguing in the back, like I told her to sing my song. That one's like pretty terrible too.
Yeah. So I thought the worst one was that Mary song. Because I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. Like, it's Mary versus Marie. Like, Marie's a different name. What are you talking? What are you talking about, George M. Cohan?
Yeah.
But, so I thought that was the worst song. But what I thought was interesting,
because I didn't like those because it didn't move the plot along.
Didn't move the plot. It was the whole Faye Templeton bullshit that had nothing to do with the rest of the story. But what I thought was interesting is, so the opening like orchestral thing, like when they're doing the credits and things. It goes from Yankee Doodle Dandy to that fucking Mary song.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if that was like sort of like this like a single from this sort of like I don't know what the time frame equivalent would have been, but I guess they thought that was going to be a big hit song, or maybe it was a big hit song from that time period, like after the movie was released, because like I think it's such a strange choice to be one of the opening songs,
or it could be like it could have been a popular song. Back when it like 20 years, 1920s or 19,
you're probably right. Yeah,
it could have been a popular song, so they replay it. So I guess like that next generation that has the money to go see it, they're like, oh, we remember this song from our childhood, and they're singing along. Like none of the song. Some are just like
Harrigan.
Some are just bad, and some are just like long-winded.
Yeah,
but. None of them are bad songs. Honestly, like they all sound good.
Honestly, any of the ones that Cagney sung, I liked. Because he's just such an interesting singer. And
Cagney before this is just typecast as like a bad guy.
Yeah,
like hey, like the cigar and like the bad guy, and you're like Cagney is fucking awesome.
Well, that's what. So I'm really glad I read. So I read the Roger Ebert review of this before I watched the movie. I'm glad I did, because one of the things that I sort of watch out for from the review was that his thing was that James Cagney is not a good singer and not a good dancer, but he's such a good actor. He can make you think he's a good singer and dancer.
Right.
And that's really what happened, because like the way he delivers like the songs is like it's almost like it's honestly closer to like friggin' I can't think of his name. The guy that plays Captain Kirk. William Shatner. It's like almost like that William Shatner singing Rocket Man.
Yeah.
Like
Rocket Man.
Like the way he sings is closer to that than like good singing. I don't know. It made me think kind of too of I had to figure out who this person was, but because when I was in like in high school, I did all the I was in the choir all 4 years, and
really
and my school had like a still pretty small music program. It's bigger now, but so like the band director like taught the choir too, which she just like faked her way through it. But she said a few times, it always stuck with me, that it was one of the guys that was like a Frank Sinatra contemporary. He's another guy that we hear Christmas, like we still play Christmas songs from sometimes. I can't remember who it was. But her thing was, whoever this guy was, like he wasn't really that good of a singer. Like he was pitchy, even in his like well-known songs, but he had such a good rhythm that like and like his rhythm was so interesting that like it would make up for the singing. So he was awesome to listen to, even though he wasn't technically the best singer. And that's kind of like what James Cagney reminded me of in this movie. Like he was really interesting to listen to. Like I really enjoyed his singing.
Was it just me, or did it seem like he was talking at 1.5 speed?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it seemed like he he was talking about like if he narrated audiobooks,
yeah,
like it would have been hard
like
to keep up. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, like I liked it. Man, I wish I could think of his name. There was a Sinatra era singer. I forget what he did. Like he insulted Sinatra, and Sinatra had all the charisma in the world.
Yeah.
Like he had so much charisma. That's the reason I don't. You know, like he stole it from the universe. Yeah. You know, and everybody agreed. I can't think of his name right now. So people were like, he's just making this story up. But everybody agreed this guy was a better singer than Sinatra. Mm-hmm. But he insulted Sinatra by doing something. Yeah. And he just like ended up selling albums like out of his trunk. Huh. Like he insulted, and Sinatra got the guy blacklisted. Yeah. Like that. And like he could have been like Marlon Brando and on the Waterfront. He could have been a contender. Yeah. You know, but he insulted him because Sinatra, it was something about like how Sinatra would like, I'll let blacks on stage with me. And this guy's like, I'll never let blacks on stage with me. And Sinatra's like, well, you're an idiot. And he blacklisted him. Yeah. Like, why would you? Sinatra was such a good businessman and runner, like singer and all that other stuff, where like he just told people like, well, if you don't like these people, why would you cut out your? Like, he didn't care about race because he was for it. Yeah. He didn't care about race because he didn't care about your color, because as long as you paid for a ticket, he wouldn't care. And he's like, well, if you don't have black singers or black musicians, like you're an idiot, because black people are going to come see your shows. Yeah. And you know what they do? They pay with green money. Yep. And he was like one of the first musicians to be like, all right, well, if you have segregated crowds, like if my band can't play, and people are like, what? And he's like, well, I won't play here anymore. And he's like, because their money's green too. Like he was like, that's what he was. And the other musician was like, well, I don't have mixed crowds. And he's like, well, you're an idiot. I'm gonna blacklist you. And like his voice was better than Sinatra's.
So what I learned from this segue is if I ever mention Frank Sinatra, then I don't get to talk for like 5 full minutes.
You just talk for like 5 minutes on the movie.
I know. That was our Frank Sinatra Minute, sponsored by the Italian American Society.
Yeah. He's an Italian American from Jersey. Yeah. Yeah.
That was the longest I ever didn't talk on the podcast.
What, like 2 minutes?
Yeah. But it was interesting though. Oh yeah, so shows. Oh yeah, but so the dancing too. I don't know if you. So again, I was glad I read this review because I could pay attention to this watching it, but his dancing wasn't that good. Like, I mean, essentially what he just did was he took up a lot of space, right? So again, this is like acting like a good dancer. So he just zipped back and forth across the stage. It looked like he was doing all this stuff, but he was really just crossing his legs over each other. Like there wasn't all this crazy footwork.
Yeah. I like when Mary's like, look, I could dance too. Yeah. And he's like, well, everybody could do that. And she's like, well, I thought of something that I did myself. And he goes, well, you don't want to be too crazy. Yeah. And he's like, well, watch this. And it looked like something Sam would do. Like, yeah. I was like, wow, that was terrible. But he did tap dance. Yeah. So, he's vaudeville. But like anytime I've ever heard James Cagney, I'm like, oh, he's a bad guy. Like he's got that he's got that bad guy voice, and like he talks a mile a minute and everything, and he's played a lot of villains in movies, and then you come out and he's basically the hero of America from believe it or not, 1870s to 1942. Yeah.
The other thing was that so the real George M. Cohan wanted Fred Astaire to play the part. And apparently because he was a better dancer, and 2 because he apparently they have some resemblance to each other. Like apparently Fred Astaire looked a little bit like a young George M. Cohan. But apparently Fred Astaire didn't want to play it because George M. Cohan's dance style, like he was so sort of stiff-legged when he danced. He didn't feel like he could do it right. Versus like Cagney already couldn't dance, so he could do the stiff-leg dance style.
Think of this, right? What? Let me ask you a question. What are your talents? Like, what would you say? Like, if someone needed you to do something, what is it that they would get? Anything.
I don't know.
Nothing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're like me, basically untalented.
Yeah.
Like
I'm like pretty good at most things.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Which is a terrible talent. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
That's honestly a big part of why I want to do this whole week Costa presents American Film Institute series.
George M. Cohan was a master of writing, composing, dancing, singing, acting.
Yeah.
Like this man, and he could play violin.
Yeah.
This man could ooze talent.
Yeah.
You know, and from what I see in the movie, he was a swindler too.
Yeah.
Like he was a bullshit artist. Like he could get in anywhere and like do like he got a prize, a Medal of Honor from the president.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like come on, guys.
Yeah, and some of those songs like that Over There song and like Grand Old Flag, like I didn't know, like I had no idea where the songs came from. I definitely knew those songs.
Yeah.
That Over There song is like a badass song. I feel like I don't know, like that makes me patriotic in 2019.
Yeah. And I did like how at 39 years old, like he tried to sign up for World War I. I'm like, you're too old. You do more. And then he went on that like tour, junket tour to like, you know. So it's like you mean about this guy, like he's such like just, and Cohen wrote the movie, but he's kind of a dickhead throughout the entire movie. But like his fame kind of just covers it. Like the older and more popular
he
gets,
write it?
I'm pretty sure he wrote it.
Did he write it, or did somebody else in his family write it?
I don't know, but I mean, like they didn't.
I had the Wikipedia up.
Yeah, they didn't make him look good.
Yeah. It was written by other people.
But, okay.
But somebody in his family like was part of the production though.
Okay. Because they didn't make him look good. You know, the whole movie. But he was fucking patriotic.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm wrong. No, I'm actually. So I'm getting actor and character confused. So, so no, it was William Cagney was one of the producers, and did you know that James Cagney's sister in the movie is his real life sister?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but think about it. Like,
they
could have shined him in a spotlight the entire movie, but they didn't. But like it was like him. It like the movie started off like the four Cohen, and then like he went into the spotlight. It was and he made it about him.
Yeah.
Then it makes it look like he tries to bring this girl up by using his material. Like, look how good of a composer I am.
Yeah.
Like he uses other people for his benefit. And then his partner Sam Harris, he's like, oh, it's George Cohen and Sam Harris. You know, like he's like it's the both of us. And then like he's like, I'm very patriotic. Like I want my country. Why he's still trying to kind of like swindle people. And then he's like, then he tells his father, like, I'm mixing up the order, but he tells his father, like, hey, all my money, like half my money, we're partners. Like, you don't have to do anything. Like, I want you guys to be able to retire like rich because like I'm making money. So like I'm signing half my stuff to you, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like they don't paint him in a good light, but he does all this redeeming stuff. So it's like, it's pretty good. And then he helps his buddy Sam Harris at the end.
Yeah, well, so I was trying to look up stuff about Sam Harris. I didn't really find any interesting.
Yeah, there's not much
facts
about him.
I mean, he had a big career outside of George Cohan, but was the only thing. He had hits before and after him, but so a couple of interesting things. One was so they actually started production on this before Pearl Harbor. so this wasn't like really a response. I mean, I guess there was still that climate that like maybe this stuff was happening, but this actually started before America got involved in World War II. They started making this movie. The other is they planned to release it on July 4th of the year it was released, to be released on George M. Cohan's birthday, but he was like dying. He was dying at the time, so they moved up the release so he could still see it when he was alive.
But Wiki says he was born on July 3rd.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah. And
Sam Harris died. I think maybe in the same year he died. He also died right before the film came out.
Oh.
I sent you the one quote. So I feel like this movie is pretty relevant today because, essentially, there's a lot of issues in this country with, the political structure and the current president and stuff people have issues with, but people should still be proud of their country,
right.
regardless of certain individuals. And I think this, in this movie, and I'm sure it was the same, I definitely, learned some of this stuff before, but I don't really remember, how popular Roosevelt was before the war and stuff like that.
He was very popular.
Even before the war he was?
Oh, yeah. He was a socialite. He was like the Kardashian of his time.
Okay.
I mean, he was a bureaucrat. Like he was Secretary of the Navy.
Yeah.
He did like he was a lawyer. Like he was a very boring guy, but he was from Hyde Park. He's a socialite. The Roosevelts were rich. Yeah.
Yeah.
So his wife was a socialite. So Roosevelt was actually like a very popular person.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of cabinet things. I don't know the exact facts. Like I can't remember them, but I do know a lot about Roosevelt because like he's one of my favorite presidents. So like
was he popular politically too? Because Trump's a socialite. So
well, he's a socialite of his day.
Yeah.
So he still had dignity and respect.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was popular politically.
Yeah.
He's popular with people.
Yeah.
He was basically like a rich, popular person, and like he wanted political office. That's what he wanted. So it's like he was like a good dude, and then, he was unsure about the war. And people like we were like 90% of the country was isolation, and then like other things happened, and then like Lindbergh, who was a socialite too, he's like anti-war, and then like once Pearl Harbor, like Lindbergh like flew.
Then he lost his baby.
That was before. Like Lindbergh like was like, well now he's like I'm an American first. He's like I was an isolationist first. But he's like, now that they have actually attacked America, it's like he's like, they wouldn't let him in the Air Force, so he flew missions on his own, like as a person.
Yeah.
So, that's basically the story about that.
So there's a quote from the movie, George M. Cohan. It seems it always happens. Whenever we get too high-hat and too sophisticated for flag waving, some thug nation decides we're a pushover, all ready to be blackjacked.
Yeah, I love that. That quote was really good. Yeah, but it is relevant.
It is really relevant because, we're still, so if you're an American listening to this, which, both of us are, or, I mean, honestly, for whatever country you're from, you should be proud of your country, even if you're not proud of maybe some of the stuff your country's done or some of the...
I'm proud to be an American.
Yeah, or some of the stuff your leaders have done or whatever. You should still have pride in your country. I don't know, and I just think so many people have lost that. Like, it's not cool to, like, be patriotic or, like, especially in America, people travel and, like, don't want to say they're American. Like,
I say I'm American because, unpopular opinion...
Yeah.
If your parents were born and raised here,
and
you were born and raised here, you're an American.
Yeah. Well, no, but I mean, people like not like the bullshit of like people say like, oh, I'm Irish or I'm like, no, you're American. Yeah. But no, I'm not. I mean, not that bullshit. I mean, like people that travel to another country and don't want to say they're from the United States. that they live here or that they grew up here or whatever.
Oh, there are some countries where I would go into and I'm like, no, I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
Like just to get, like, when in Italy, like I wore my like American flag T-shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of American flag, what also helped show the passing of time in that movie?
What's that?
Like the first half of the movie, they're like I was born when there's 32 stars on the flag. And it's like now there's 48 stars on the flag.
Yeah.
Like they would. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. But I don't know.
We like you said in the beginning, we are removed from the time because we don't know what's popular or not, and so that makes it like not a timeless movie. But then again, there's things in there that are still relevant today, which also makes it a timeless movie.
Yeah, I want to bring up on the.
What this movie reminded me of?
What's that?
Because I just went to the World War II museum down in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Bob Hope. He was too old for service in World War II, and he was also a vaudevillian, actor, dancer, comedian, entertainer, and like he was like the George M. Cohen of World War II. Like he entertained the troops, like he did more for the country than any one person could do, like bring that morale.
Well, interestingly, so James Cagney played George M. Cohan in a movie about Edward Foy. That starred Bob Hope, and Cagney was such a fan of Foy that he actually played the role of Cohan for free in the Foy movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying. So I wanted to bring up the comments on. So I watched this on YouTube. So I had to rent it for $2.99.
I read it on Amazon.
Okay, yeah. It looks like it was like $2.99 everywhere.
Library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thumbs up the comment from 3 weeks ago. It's from 1942. Just make it goddamn free.
Yeah.
Like the movie's 80 years old. Like they made their money on the movie. They made the box office.
11.8 million, I think. Yeah. Which I think is pretty good.
But yeah, so one person commented, and this looks like an older person. It was Mary Mary. Like they commented like that was like one of the good songs from the thing. And then someone commented, I like that song. But
what a intelligent and well thought out comment.
This person said, great dancer, never could sing. Poor Cagney. But yeah, I was trying to see if there's any like real patriotic things or things about the music. Yeah, like this one. So this is sort of both. So it says, why would you make someone pay for something that is so patriotic and should be on TV every day? We salute our veterans just trying to get some money. But like again, I mean, I guess like nowadays we would see this as a patriotic movie, but I just really wonder if people would have. I mean, I guess if it was released during World War II, but if people would have keyed more on the patriotism part of it, or just seen it as a straight like biopic, like music biopic right. At the time it was released.
I think it was a little bit of both.
Yeah. But like nowadays we see it just as a patriotic movie. Like again, since George M. Cohan's not a famous person anymore, besides this movie, we don't really think of it as
theater
biopic.
people. I volunteer to theater. Everybody knows who he is.
Oh, really?
Like to the main public, but to theater people, he's huge.
To us normies.
Yeah. So inflation calculator, the box office was 11.8 million. Inflation calculator is 184,997,000. So
not
basically,
bad. And the budget.
$185 million.
And I wonder what the budget was for it.
It doesn't. It didn't say it. Yeah. No. Yeah. So this movie is like watching it. I'm like, I don't get how this is one of the classic movies of all time. And then like once you finish it, you go, that's how it's one of the classics. Yeah. Like it's definitely worth a watch. Like we talked about last week. Like I want to watch these old movies. I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, part of it is boring, but it is super patriotic because they start with the Civil War.
Yeah,
yeah.
But like, I feel like I'm going to have this struggle every week because now I've thought about this movie so much over the last few days that like I don't really want to transition to the next movie yet.
You want to just like next week talk about this movie?
Yeah.
No, because
what is the next movie, dude?
It's Look Who's Coming to Dinner.
Okay.
Yeah, or Look Who's Coming or whatever. It's about I think it's a white girl.
Yeah.
She invites her boyfriend
to
dinner, her black boyfriend, and the black parents come.
Yeah.
and it's a really good movie. Like it's from the '60s, so you could tell it's very like.
Oh, that's gonna be a real tough topic.
Yeah, and you know what sucks?
Yeah.
We're still dealing with the same fucking problems.
I would love to contrast it with the modern remake of that,
I watch both,
but I don't know if I can.
Dude, I love Bernie Mac. Bernie Mac's hilarious.
Yeah. Hey, well, let's watch. We'll watch the original, and then we'll see if it's possible to if we have time to watch the second one.
Yeah, well,
because I think it'd be interesting to contrast.
I don't want to wait last minute like I did for this movie.
Yeah.
Because I want more time, but 8-page paper is an 8-page paper, so
Well, if this movie's short, I mean, this movie was more than 2 hours long.
Yeah.
So if this movie is shorter,
yeah, and the movie's 2 hours long, but it also feels longer because it's
of some of those musical interludes.
Yeah. So let's see next week's movie.
Yeah.
See how long it is. But so overall, did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked it. I was listening. I'm probably gonna keep listening to the songs until I get to the gym. Then I'll switch back to, Exhibit because it's a chest day.
Yeah, and we're done.
So.
Yeah. Like we're definitely going to be watching a lot more. This movie costs money too. I'm definitely going. The remake is Guess Who, starring Bernie Mac, but this stars Sidney Poitier and Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy. So a lot of like big names. Like you've heard all three of those, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so, and then when I was searching this one earlier today, the Defiant Ones came on. Mm-hmm. Not like the movie, but it's from 1958. It's Defiant Ones, Sidney Poitier and some white guy. I watched that movie on like Turner Classic Movies one time.
Yeah.
It's about a black prisoner and a white prisoner who escape a chain gang.
Yeah.
And they hate each other and they have to get along to escape. But then the white one finds a white woman and like he has to like pick between the black guy he escaped with and the white woman. Spoiler. It's a black man.
Huh.
And like he protects him and everything.
Yeah.
So it's like a change of heart movie. But it's like it's a very poignant movie. In the 1950s.
Dude, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is $3.99 on YouTube.
Definitely going to the
I mean, I have so many. I mean, Netflix and fucking YouTube Red and Xfinity, like on demand, and Amazon Prime. Like one of them should have every movie.
Yeah, it's I'm going to the library for this one, so maybe you should do the same thing.
Nah.
Nah.
We have a library.
So luckily, you have one of the best library systems.
I don't think that's true.
Running time 108 minutes.
Okay, that's cool.
Oh, okay. The film was one of the few films of the time that depicted interracial marriage in a positive light, as interracial marriages historically had been illegal in most states in the United States and still was illegal in 17 states, mostly southern states, until June 12th, 1967.
Should we get like a non-white person on the podcast next week in case, like, to shield us?
No, that's okay. We're talking about entertainment. I think criticism. If you say something like, I understand where he's coming from, being a black man, I go, Kevin. I think you've overstepped your bounds.
I think we're both.
Yeah,
I think we're both not.
Yeah,
Yeah. We're obviously both not racist, but I think, I think we're also both like,
You had more of a middle class upbringing than me, so it's like there's things that like, I mean, obviously not in a interracial marriage. Like I dated like one girl that wasn't white, and but like I don't know how it is to be in an interracial marriage in the 50s, so it's not like I can relate.
Well, I'm married an Italian girl, so I mean that's
you're both white.
Man,
well. Were her parents born and raised here?
Yeah.
Were your parents born and raised here?
We're all Americans.
You're both Americans.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, her arm's probably hairier, but
yeah. I'm pretty hairless.
So, you got anything more to say about the movie?
No, I think that's it. We should probably cut the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
it got kind of useless at the end for.
Yeah. Last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited about next week's movie because it's very good. It's a very good movie, and Sidney Poitier is like, he's fucking amazing. I think I watched like 30 Sidney Poitier. Like I've watched almost every one of his movies.
After this week, I'll have watched one.
You watched one?
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually was in movies from the 50s to the 90s.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, similar to George M. Cohan. He died in 42 or 43, and he was still in a lead in things until 1940.
Yeah.
So
it was good. Well, I hope you enjoyed our first episode of our 100 Greatest Films podcast.
Holy Costa presents.
Holy Costa presents 100 Greatest Films podcast. I'm Jay for Kev. Thanks for tuning in.